Now, Carl, Wembley is the most famous football pitch in the world. A lot of people, it's like the old course for St Andrews for golf. It's where everybody wants to get the opportunity to play, and a lot of people have had those chances taken away from them last year, perhaps postponed until this year. So there'll be an awful lot of pressure on Wembley, I would imagine, over the next few months. How many matches do you reckon you'll have between now and the start of the Euros? When is it 6 or 7 matches you have in the Euros? Two semi-finals and a final, and some others.
Yeah, for Euros we've got 7 games, 5 training sessions, and probably around about between 7 and 8 closing ceremony rehearsals. So again, with the final being held at Wembley, there will be a big closing ceremony for that. So yeah, a very busy month. But also, yeah, going back, I mean, there was a backlog. Football did stop, which means that was predominantly for our month of April and May. So everything from the FA Cup semi-finals to the final itself, and then going into the Vase, the trophy, and all the other events that we host, and the playoffs. So at some point they needed to drop. When football did come back last year through July and August, we did have the playoffs to prepare, obviously, to know who was going to go where in what league. But we have, back 2 weeks ago, we just had the Papa John's Trophy, Portsmouth versus Salford, and that was from 2020. So there still is a bit of a backlog going into May. Also this year, we've got the FA Vase, FA Trophy, double header in one day, which again was from last year as well. So and they are starting to sort of filter through into the usual calendar, which we usually have for April. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. So for us, make pitches ready and prepared, whatever we need to get done. Like Andy said, we're lucky to be in our role to be healthy. I think that's number one. So for us and the grounds team itself, yeah, whatever events come in, whenever they come in, we'll be prepared and ready. But for Euros, it's a busy schedule in some with a lot of events back and forth beforehand. So that'll be a good month.
Mm-hmm. Do you prepare the pitch to the same level, whether it's a non-league match finals or the Euro final itself? Is it all done to the same standard, or is there different degrees of preparation go in place?
No, it's all done the same. Again, where we're sort of classed as a neutral venue, for us, it's how does that pitch play best? When you've got, whether it's the FA Cup semi-finals, the final itself, or you've got any events going around, it's a neutral. We just ensure that we make sure pitch is the best to play. For me, it's always going to be a quick game of football, and that's what we like to see. That's what brings the entertainment. That's what the players are now using at their training centres to practice on and then play in their own venues. So for us, for whether it's FA Vase, FA Trophy, Emirates FA Cup final, it's always the same. And I think we've been behind closed doors. It's been missed. There's no sort of better feeling that you prepared the pitch in the morning and the team look at each other and they go, right. And we always are one step ahead. We always plan for pre-game, whether it's a verti cut or a rake or whatever you want to do to the playing surface. But there's that sort of 20 minutes that I always think when doors open, and in the stadium you get an announcement and it says doors are now opening, and the fans come in, and there's children, there's people who've been to Wembley for the first time ever, and I think it's remembering. Then they walk in, they go, wow, the size of it, the green pitch with the backdrop of the red seats with the arch, and the sort of team that is around you, and the faces that. Again, just wow, I'm at Wembley. But you get that from the teams as well. So no matter what league, they walk out onto that pitch and this is their day at Wembley. And that's the reason why we should are playing. That is the exact same for Cup final than it would be for any other event that we host, because that is their day at Wembley.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do know you hear about this at World Players of the Year. And they still get excited if they get the opportunity to play at Wembley. They know how many times they've played there. It's wonderful. Now, this is just maybe a bit of selfish, but I'm just wondering, how do you make sure that the pitch is absolutely billiard table smooth, so that when there's no bad bounce going to defeat David Marshall there when Scotland get to the final of the Euros?
I like positive thinking there. We use many a way. Experience is one. Wembley, I mean, what you do on one pitch sometimes won't match for another playing surface. So again, I think I've been here for 15 years. David Mole's in my team, 15. Brendan Abbott coming up to 14. And Harry Volland, Butler and Ant Sunny have been with us respectively for coming up to 4 months now for Harry, and then Ant's been with us for 2.5. We all have experience of what this playing surface is like. And again, we always know that, again, we're looking at the cultural methods, again, with the planning we did last year as well, verticutting, raking, and it is just really the cultural methods. On the back of a game, we'll normally tear the pitch to pieces and just go, right, let's get this grass plant working, keep it as healthy as possible. And really, if we can be cultural over chemical, that's our philosophy. But also away from the machinery and also the team doing their work, it's about data. So again, picking up all the data that we read, ensuring that the rotational resistance is there, ensuring something we picked up recently with the winter growing is textile strength. But that data is key to me to know, right, when sunlight is starting to enter our building in middle of March and the first blade of grass gets the first touch of light, we know that we're then sort of charging that pitch up and that textile strength will come in. Without that, it's a guessing game and everyone can have an opinion. But without that data, there's key areas that I'll always look at on the data to make sure that we are ready. So that's the key thing. And I think over time we have that experience within the team of what does it look like. And also, again, I'm the team's grounds manager, but also having the team's opinions and their thoughts as well. Sharing that data throughout the team, listening to what the team think of, do you think we could do this or should we look at this, and actually having that key word, which is communication, throughout the whole team. And then we use that, we implement it, and then we deliver our playing surface.
Now, Andy, St George's Park will be the where the Brains, mentioned it earlier, the Brains Centre for the England campaign for the Euros. Will you be having discussions with Gareth Southgate or one of his team about what his requirements are of you in the lead up to the championships?
Yes, of course. Yeah, where St George's Park is a football training facility, but it obviously isn't like a club training ground. Just for the fact that the teams you're looking after are only here for a week at a time, and there's so many different ones at that. So for base camp for June, we are simply treating it as a club training ground for hopefully 5-6 weeks. And within that, yeah, of course, a daily dialogue with either Gareth or Steve Holland, his assistant. The medical team also play a huge part as well. So just with a couple of the medical department last week, not only that, but we'll be speaking to Karl as well, because essentially we want to produce the same pitch that they're going to train on, that they're going to play on. So in terms of sort of mostly pitch firmness, we did that last week. So we're trying to prepare the training pitch last week, as I say, similar to what Wembley would have been for last Thursday night and tomorrow night. But yeah, as it ramps up, getting closer and closer, we will be speaking to coaching staff, medical staff to get their requirements, their needs. But a general rule, and that's anything at the top level, is short and wet. That's what they want it as, and obviously, so quite basic parameters, but more than achievable.
You must get quite a buzz about being almost a part of the team, part of England's Euro campaign.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you know, I'd say I started in September, and we had the first autumn international base camp training camps, and because they just sort of flew by. But weirdly, this past week, when not just the senior team, but with the under-21s being on TV as well, watching it felt like I was part of it. And you could see not players, but the people sat on the bench, the coaching staff, the backroom staff. You can say, I saw him at St George's Park last week, etc., etc. It does make you feel part of it 100%. And again, it makes you feel like the club team. And you know, with Southampton, I knew all the coaching staff, all the backroom staff, etc. So they're friends, colleagues, etc. They're not just names on a team sheet, etc. So absolutely it is. And I'm like with any person that follows football as a kid, Italian 90, Euro 90, growing up in France 98, it was, remember the buzz around it, and that's what one of the big things obviously attracted me to the role in the first place. So to just stand there watching them train last week for 20 minutes on Wednesday was a proper privileged position to be in, definitely.
Now, you touched on it there, but how closely do the two of you work at the moment? You mentioned making sure that conditions are as close to identical at St George's Park and the training pitches as they are on the main pitch at Wembley. But how do you go about that? Is it Zoom calls? Have you had a chance to get together at all over the last few weeks and months?
It's mostly we've met each other once in person. That was at the start of December. I went down to Wembley just to catch up with Karl for the day. Other than that, it's Teams calls, WhatsApp, etc., etc. But we would talk weekly without question. That would be about. Others are about vintage football shirts, Panini sticker albums, children. So I know, I'm sure you're aware, I'll go back to 2003-ish. So we've known each other a long time. We've shared trips abroad together. We went to each other's weddings, etc. So there's more to it than just work with us two, definitely. Yeah.
Now, Karl, when it comes to the synergy we talked about, who decides the length of the pitch, or is it the height of cut? Is it you, or is it Andy? Who's the boss? In other words, who makes the final decision?
We both got our. I'll be honest with you, Andy's mentioned back from Go, and they found that we both have Southampton. And I personally feel that, I mean, the team going back in 2005, Andy, I think it was, that for our grounds team, that was a good grounds team. And I think that's where we built our foundation from, as what do good teams look like. And I sort of would always benchmark my Wembley team against that team, because that team had everything. It had professionalism. It had, I mean, you look at the names in the team, there myself, and there was Andy, Dave Roberts, who's now grounds manager at Liverpool, Graham Mills still at Southampton, and we had Ricky Rawlins and Dan Osborne, who's under Steve Braddock at Arsenal. And again, it's really good, a very small team, but a really good team. And I think that's where we probably found like our foundation from, if I'm really honest with you. And like Andy said, we'll pick up a call once a week, whether it is on the way home and a quick call to have a quick chat, or whether it is how you're doing, or really anything that comes across our minds, including vintage football shirts and Panini stickers, which was a conversation we had last night. So, like Andy said, it's that whole thing going back to like Euro 96, and like I used to collect football stickers, so did Andy, and now at 36 years old and however old Andy, we're still doing it. So it's just, yeah, we both just have a conversation. And also, if I ever had something at Wembley I wasn't too sure on, I would use Andy to say, Andy, quick question. This is my thought process. What do you think? And almost share it out, because my line manager will be very honest with you, Liam. And so I talk to him sometimes and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. You're there to deliver these playing surfaces. And it is quite a niche thing that we do. And again, we've talking to Andy, a quick conversation is, Andy, I've got this thing in my brain. I'm going to quickly let you know. And we have a conversation about it. What do you think? And have you ever had this before, that scenario? What do you think about this? And we just literally bat off each other with that sort of ideas. Regarding the height of cut of grass at Wembley, Andy's right. It's short and it's wet, and that's what any team would want. As long as that ball is moving quickly, as long as they've got stability, that's all a player will ever need. And really, I think we both set our pitches out already how they potentially should be.